Hey guys, it is early, and if you can tell by the crowd behind me, we're gonna go check out the next wing of Pandemonium this morning. At least, probably the first couple of fights before I've got to start getting ready for the day. And it might change if the baby wakes up. I've got his monitor right next to me as I'm playing here, so we will see. But let's start off by talking to Claudia. Oh, that's a welcome image there. Kaslo, I've made a breakthrough. After uncountable days and nights, I've finally hearkened to the crystal's whispers, I must say. Professor Claudia, where are your manners? While I understand all too well your enthusiasm, I must remind you that even the most academically inclined prefer a composed recounting of events. Ah, yes, of course. My apologies, Castle. Been consumed by my research for so long, I'm afraid I have quite forgotten how to engage in civilized conversation. In that case, perhaps we should start from the beginning. With the crystal set adrift upon ethereal tides, taking the memories of a party yet unknown, they cried out for deliverance from Pandæmonium, where the ancients kept volatile creatures under lock and key. You yourself witnessed the power devouring the facility from within, and the advent of a divine monstrosity wrought of mythic beast and powerful mage. Fortunately, your martial prowess and combined magical talents of your companions Themis and Ericthonius was sufficient to restore order for the circles of Asphodelos, but the greater threat remains. In the depths of Pandæmonium, a presence yet stirs, its intentions and identity shrouded in mystery. That is the issue at hand, is it not? Since you returned to us, we worked tirelessly to discern the nature of the crystal. In the process, I detected an anomalous etheric signature, which I believe arose from the memory stored within. Analysis of this pattern suggested a feeling of loss or yearning, specifically the yearning to be made whole. And indeed, ambient readings have revealed a faint but identical signature. This can only mean that other such crystals exist in our time. So, my friend, I must depart to search for it forthwith, by tracing the matching etheric signature to its source. I believe it to be a simple matter to find our crystal's twin. Professor, would this expedition be carried out only by us? Or Kaslo grace us with his protection? I'm afraid he has more pressing matters to attend to, my dear Rusinad. Namely, to seek out the secrets which lie nestled within Pandæmonium, where this all began. From all that we have heard, it appears that time traversal from the Crystal Tower is not fluid. That is to say, one can but travel in predetermined intervals. It would be prudent to check in on occasion, in case there are any unanticipated changes. As for you, my loyal assistants, I would ask you to remain here and continue cataloging the ancient creations. You can't mean. Do you intend to search for the crystal on your own? Why, yes, that would be the most efficient use of resources, would it not? In fact, I have already commissioned a ship and pilot for that very purpose. I trust you to take good care of the laboratory in my absence. I apologize for that somewhat abrupt departure. When progress is in sight, Professor Claudia intends to become blind to all else. Indeed, he has been worse than usual. I cannot fault him for your excitement. I do wish he would spare a thought for those around him. For reasons unknown, the crystal seems loath to be overheard. Much as it spoke only to you last time, none but the professor has been able to capture its ethereal yearning, which has served only to convince him that he can solve the this puzzle on his own. Surely, after some time alone, I'll come to remember how valuable we are. Search for this crystal seemed to be simple enough matter. Let him have his adventure, and upon his return, I'm certain he'll be back to his usual self. As for you, Caslow, may be best to return to Pandæmonium, as Professor Claudian suggested. Speaking of which, I did have a request to make my own. Traveling to Pandæmonium requires you to pass through Elpis, correct? There is something I would have you investigate in my stead. While those creations confined to Pandæmonium are considered to be failures, I doubt that's their whole story. Barring exceptional cases, they must have been under observation in Elpis before being consigned to their shackles. If we know anything about the ancients, so they would have kept thorough records of the results. Ha, brilliant! Delving into these records may shed light on creatures the castle has yet to encounter. Your theory proves correct, that is. While there are no guarantees, it certainly beats the current strategy of rushing forward blindly with only his strength to carry the day. For your own sake as well as ours, please unearth what information you can. As should we, for I haven't done the warding sigil blocking the entrance to Abyssos. I came here merely to chase an idle suspicion while awaiting your return. Fortunately, while Pandæmonium's protective wards continue to be assailed by our unknown foe, there have been no fluctuations so great as to make me doubt Ericthonius' capacity to keep watch over Asphodelos while I'm away. He works diligently to master internment, that he might deliver his creations back to their cages by his own hand. I thought it best to give him time to hone his craft. And since fate has brought us both here, I would ask you to accompany me while I attend to another matter. More idle suspicions that I'd like to chase down. Rest assured, it shall not take long. Simply have a few questions to ask an acquaintance of mine. Come, he has agreed to meet us near the nearest to Pandæmonium. As I have pondered our expedition in Pandæmonium, I could not help but be mystified how strongly the warders we encountered felt for La Habrea, whether it be for good or ill. Hesperos and Ericthonios were two sides of the same coin. The former looked to his mentor with absolute devotion, while the latter looks to his father with bald hatred. I would not expect a familiar such as you to understand this, but such extreme emotion towards a single individual are quite rare indeed. Naturally, I feel gratitude towards my mother and father, yet we are all equals in the larger picture of the star. This view is not unique to myself, it is more or less accepted as the way of it. By contrast, the researchers of Pandæmonium seem to view La Habrea with a feeling approaching obsession, whether driven by love or hate. They have all been drawn to him. There are many other aspects of the facility's particulars I found troubling besides. I decided the best course of action would be to go straight to the source, and pose my questions to a member of the Words of La Habrea. My apologies to have kept you waiting, Master Themis. I understand you are conducting an investigation of Pandæmonium and wish to know of its origins. Indeed, in particular, I wish to know why Pandæmonium was built directly under Elpis. The facility is overseen by the Words of La Habrea, I feel. Why keep it so close to Elpis, whose governing body has no say in its day-to-day operations? First, I thought it was simply a matter of convenience. Those creations, which were deemed failures by the researchers of Elpis, could easily be ushered in to their new homes. Imagine my surprise when a trip to the archives revealed that many of the creations were sent from organizations beyond Elpis, including from the Words of La Habrea themselves. Given this, albeit limited information, I cannot but feel that Academia Niter would have been a more fitting locale. What does Elpis have that cannot be found there? These are fitting questions, and ones we have asked ourselves many times in recent years. Alas, the nature of Pandemonium's construction does not lend itself to relocation. When first it was built, circumstances weren't as they were now. As you surmised, the majority of the creations kept in Pandemonium were sent from Elpis. Yet as the years passed, interests changed. Failures in creation deemed too flawed even to submit to Elpis paradoxically drew the attention of Pandemonium's researchers. That's quite the change, and in fact, it almost runs counter to the facility's original purpose. Who is it that decides which creations will be subject to research? Master La Habre. Such authority is reserved for the chief keyword, and he has taken it upon himself to step into that role. So if Pandemonium's resources were being misused, it would be under La Habre's authority, correct? I know not what you're suggesting. The keywords also hold some sway within the facility. Not even Master La Habre would be free from their scrutiny. They are duty-bound to report any irregularities as soon as possible. Although I admit, as of late, their communication has been somewhat sporadic. We but recently received a report from one of the keywords stating that all is well within Pandemonium's halls. Really? Are you certain that a keyword sent it? Yes, of course. Our communications suffered a temporary obstruction, but I can assure you that the words did their due diligence in confirming the identity of the sender. Thank you. This information will be helpful to my investigation. That will be all for my prying. I shall take my leave. While you are yet permitted to conduct your investigation freely, I must remind you that the warder's work is delicate, and it would be remiss to disturb them for longer than is necessary. All is well, late and lie, and to that we can both attest. One of the remaining keywords is most certainly in league with the party behind us. Let us hurry. I know not why our adversaries sent this report, but 'tis plain that we must return to Pandemonium with haste. Not quite. I've traced these sigils countless times, but still I lack strength to maintain the spell. Now time works against me. I can no longer be victim to my ineptitude. What? Who goes there? Phoenix? There's something to be admired in such single-minded effort, even if your methods leave much to be desired. You allowed this familiar to catch you unawares. You set your sights so high as to forget you walk on the earth. I know this creature, familiar of Phoenix. That monster's locked away. That is, in spite of the trouble I went to freeing it, I might add. Grudge me for addressing you in this ill-fitting form if you must. But with the control of Asphodelos wrestled from my grasp, it is simply the best I can offer you. Hide if you will, but mark my words, I will find you, and make you pay for the chaos you've sown. Now, there is no need for such hostility. A calm heart stays the course. The wisdom of La Habre, your father. And how would you know what wisdom he speaks. I've heard those words many times. The scolding of a tutor whose students struggled to grasp the most rudimentary lessons, seething with disgust. No. I've not told that to anyone, not even to keyword Hesperos. It can only mean one thing. I've not told that to anyone, not even keyword Hesperos. It can mean only one thing. That you still insist on mocking me. Stop this farce, La Habrea. At last, you move to keep up. Pity that you remain behind, nevertheless. What? As ever you are, always you fail to learn, fail to understand, fail to act. And though fate deigned to offer you an escape, you remain here. You are bereft of magical prowess and common sense both. But you need not despair. Dull though you may be, you are yet indispensable to Pandæmonium's great experiment. There's the affection I remember. Tell me, did I ever once measure up to your expectations? You shall. Take pride in that, and rejoice to see your wish fulfilled. What? What wish? Come, and all shall be revealed. All this rage, this hatred, is but a consequence of ignorance. My desires align more than you know. What are you? Uninvited guests join our reunion. It seems fortune no longer favors you. Do you think I have any interest in listening to your prattle? Let alone... sorry. Let alone bowing to your will. I am no longer a child, and my faith lies with those who have earned it. Oh. So, these are the heroes who brought Hesperos low. Even his power divine flowed through his veins. 'Tis plain there are worthier subjects to continue. So there can be but one conclusion. La Habrea was the driving force behind the chaos from the start. There is logic to that. There are few with the wherewithal to even consider experimentation on such a scale, let alone the capacity to create demigods from man and beast, with the rest of us none the wiser. Considering the magnitude of his work and with the convocation and the words, his relatively minor role as chief keyword comes under little scrutiny, even as it provides him the authority to wield dangerous magics. It may serve as a veil and mantle both. Still, I find the notion hard to accept. The misdeeds perpetrated here could not have been done by the La Habrea I know. You have met him, yes? Do you think he's capable of this? Don't give us a choice. It's gonna be bad. La Habrea is capable of far more than you know. Is he? So you believe Lahabrea to be a man of few scruples, that brings his goals closer in reach? That alone should be enough. But let me assure you, Lahabrea holds nothing so dear as his own ambition. While he may not be one to let emotion stand in the way of his mission, I cannot believe there are no depths to which he would not stoop. Although we met but briefly, the impression he left on me stands in stark contrast to your evaluation. Though his methods are ever unorthodox, they seem guided by a firm understanding of what is just. There is one way to find out for certain. We delve deeper into Pandæmonium and pull back the curtain on this mystery ourselves. A wise course. I would not deny the truth if I saw it with my own eyes, even if it was discomforting to behold. Then we must move forward with no excess of caution. Lahabrea, or whomever is behind this, has likely spread their tentacles into every corner of Pandæmonium. We can safely assume the other keywords won't greet us with open arms. Agreed. Let us make our way through Abyssos, one careful step at a time. I shall stay by Ericthonius' side, in case our enemies think to target him again. Could I trouble you to take the vanguard? Thank you. As a precaution, I shall safeguard you with a simple spell. This will ensure that, even should we become separated, my phantom warriors will still come to your aid. If it does come to battle, the keyword's magics will keep us at a disadvantage once again. Luckily, we have you to even the scales somewhat. I trust you shall be liberal with your weight. So this is where research is conducted on creatures imbued with poisons and venoms. Ericthonius and I were conveyed not far from here. It seems our foe is finding it more difficult to surprise us. Fortunately for you, since they appear particularly keen to see you dispatched as quickly as possible. Even alone, you are a force to be reckoned with. Part of me is glad you emerged victorious, that I might observe you further. Were the circumstances different, I might thank you for keeping my son alive for this long. But I believe we can forego introductions, unless I have misread you. I'm all too familiar, Paragon. He doesn't know what Paragon means, I bet. A charming appellation, but I'm afraid I hold no such position. No, I am Lahabrea, of the Convocation of 14. If you truly are who you claim to be, then answer this question. That can wait. What is this? What is this? Now this is curious. The trap I wove at your feet reacts to ether, but you remain unaffected. Such thin ether, and an unfamiliar composition besides. It is of no matter, I suppose. A more direct approach will beget the same results. I would advise you think carefully before deciding your next action. Strike me down here, and Ericthonius' wish shall remain unfulfilled. Never again shall he meet Athena. Mother, you would dare hide behind her name. Listen well, Ericthonius. We are of the same mind concerning your mother. You have your allies for protection, so what harm is there in hearing me out? Ericthonius, wait! There's a question I must need ask first. If you truly are La Habrea, why speak such blatant lies? Bitter in defeat, are we? Say my name. A simple request. Themis, was it? A trifle soon forgotten, as you are. As are you. I have my answer. The La Habrea I knew took pride in the convocation, would never suffer its denigration. You sully his station with this farce. Themis, what are you saying? La Habrea and I hardly saw eye to eye, but I know his voice when I hear it. Indeed, he makes a passing fine imitation in appearance and manner. However, the real La Habrea would never call me by the name Themis. What trouble have you gotten yourself into, Elidibus? Impostor. You have no right to claim that form, that mask. What? Who? It was the mask that sickened me to wear. The mask of La Habrea, a man who values his position above all, would murder his own wife in pursuit of duty. Yet you would assume my name and wield powers that are mine by right. Any worth you have hinges on that which you so despise. Such trifle provocations will not be goaded into finishing this ere my work is done. Ericthonius, listen well. I am Hephaestus, and it is I whom you should call father. So La Habrea isn't Hephaestus? And Ericthonius didn't know who his father really was? Okay, now we're getting some surprises. Now I don't know who La Habrea is. What in the name of creation? We would do well to stand idle while our enemy. We would do well not to stand idle while our enemy is about. Believe an exploration is in order. Let us return to safety, so you may provide it. Huh, that sounds more like the La Habrea I know. Before we depart, however, I must offer you an apology. As La Habrea said, I am Elidibus, one of the convocation and an emissary of their will. For reasons which do not involve you, it was necessary to hide my identity while investigating this place. Still, that hardly excuses my deception. I had a feeling. Your perceptiveness does not surprise me. When the time comes, it shall make my explanation all the easier to understand. In any case, we have pressing matters to attend to. Let's do as La Habrea suggested and return to the gates. We can speak there. Please, help him. Save him. As you are aware by now, I am known as Abyssos. After my dear friend Azem and I detected irregularities in Pandæmonium, we decided the best course of action would be to hide my station as I conducted my investigation. I'm sure La Habrea, as well, is eager to find out why I hid who I was, so I'll save that story for later. First, I would like to speak to you, my friend. Although neither Azem nor I have ever met you in the flesh, you came with his highest recommendation. That alone was enough for me to accept you as an ally without question. That somewhere in this world, a guiding star so similar to himself was out there, amused Azem to no end. There was not a shade of doubt in his heart that he would be a formidable ally. Furthermore, I have heard stories that Mr. Banat, who held the position of Azem previously, journeyed with a familiar much like yourself. That made the decision to trust you all the easier. She, too, now dons the white robes of an advisor. She places her absolute faith in you. I knew I would be in capable hands. Aware, though, I was of the path you had walked, I had no interest in exposing you. I merely wanted to meet you, to travel by your side for a while. I may know but a small portion of your whole story, but that is enough for me to believe you would never lead me astray. I wanted to tell you that. I don't know how long it's been since we last spoke, La Habrea, and the truth be told, I had hoped we would never again. I see now I was a fool to think it would ever escape your meddling. Just what is that thing that called himself La Habrea? And why is this spitting image of your younger self? I find it hard to believe you only just now found out such a being was wreaking havoc in Pandæmonium. Do you think matters would simply sort themselves out? So I was right that it was a younger La Habrea. That's good to know. I suppose you deserve at least a cursory explanation. I was well aware of the anomalies occurring within Pandæmonium, including the fact that Azem and Elidibus had taken it upon themselves to investigate. I saw no reason to insert myself into the situation. For a time, that was. Imagine my surprise when, instead of a formal report from you and yours, I received a communication from one of the key wards, stating that research and operations were proceeding as usual. While Abyssos' deception was almost childish in its simplicity, it became plain to me that your grasp on the situation was slipping. So you knew of his existence from the beginning. I can hardly imagine that you would suffer another to masquerade as one of the convocation. Not without good reason, at least. As you well know, the name La Habrea is but a marker of my station. It is not the name I was born with. Abyssos has claimed that for himself. I cannot fault him for it, as he is my other half, in a manner of speaking. Getting right about that, okay. He knows all that I know, my equal in every way. Yet within his heart is naught but greed, envy, and desire. All the emotions that we are loath to acknowledge within ourselves. If what you say is true, what purpose would such a being serve? He's the product of an experimentation gone awry. A reminder of the days when I was young and reckless. I thought him sealed away for good. But it seems time has a way of unearthing the shame we bury. When he spoke of my mother, he looked at you with venom in his eyes. blamed you for her death. Tell me, was he right to do so? His words are but the ramblings of a tortured mind. The hatred and despair he endures has warped his view of the world irreparably. And now that he is awakened, he must be put to rest. If he succeeds in breaching Pandæmonium's protective wards, we shall invite disaster unto our star. As Chief Keyword of Pandæmonium, it is my duty to decide the proper course of action. As such, I declare that all research shall be summarily abandoned and the facility destroyed. What? You would leave the other warders to their doom? It is a choice befitting La Habrea. Do you disagree? You speak of duty, and ours is to guide the star and its inhabitants upon the correct course. It is no surprise that we would choose annihilation of Pandæmonium if its existence posed even the remotest risk to our people. Yet, as you can see by Erichthonius' response, the decision is somewhat more nuanced than that. Azem and I grappled with this conundrum for some time. That is precisely why I chose to involve myself directly. It was the only way I could truly determine the best solution. And you need not trouble yourself with that further. The Chief Keyword must prevent the worst from occurring, no matter the cost. Your feelings, Elidibus, are of no consequence. Have you even taken a moment to consider another path? No. You've nary a thought for aught but yourself and your duty. You have no idea of the trials we've endured, the foes that Castle has stood against. Caslo, is it? A being of such aether as I've never seen. What are you? He's the guiding star that shall lead us safely through this. Thanks to his stout arm and steadfast courage, we have subdued the mythic creations and returned them to their settles. Speaking of which, I would hear your opinion, Caslo. As outsiders, we are in a unique position to look upon circumstances with our vision unclouded by attachment. It's too soon to give up on saving the others. Agreed. We still know next to nothing about Abyssos, and I highly doubt La Habrea has been forthcoming with the truth. But we've managed to regain control of Asphodelos. It must be made to see that there's merit in continuing on this path. I have it. Speak in your official capacity as Elidibus the Emissary. Judge which approach is more sound, and even La Habrea would be compelled to listen. As Elidibus, I am duty-bound to assess the matter from a position of impartiality. My opinion, as Themis, can carry no weight. You understand what that means, yes? I do. Even so, you've walked with us all this time, seen what we've seen. Based on that alone, I trust that you'll find the best way forward. Very well. In my capacity as emissary, I shall state my judgment. At present, there are merits in both destroying Pandæmonium outright and taking time to rescue its researchers. Neither is yet an impossible task. Therefore, I judge the most measured choice would be to continue upon our present course. We delve into Abyssos, interring any mythic creations we encounter along the way. You have yet to witness Caslos' might and Erichthonius' resolve. I would ask that you see our capabilities firsthand, and only then decide if our endeavor is futile. If such is the will of the emissary, then I shall obey. However, if I indeed find your strength to be lacking, I trust there will be no objections to immediate destruction of Pandæmonium. You needn't worry about that. We won't fail. You are bolder than I remember. You're even more tedious than I remember. Cass, come find me when you are finished. Ericthonius is understandably frustrated. But if we are to conquer Abyssos, we must first go forth with clear heads. Pray lend an ear to his troubles, that their weight might be lightened. You have my gratitude, ill-fit as I am to show it at the moment. Without your words to sway him, La Habrea would have carried out his plan without a second thought. When at first we realized the creations had slipped their bonds, the other keywords did all in their power to restore order. Even though they could have chosen escape, they remained to aid their allies. Certain not a soul among them would wish to see this facility erased from the world, and they don't deserve to be abandoned simply for carrying out their duty. And besides, Festus has secrets yet untold, secrets that would be buried in Pandæmonium, where we reduced to rubble. We need to uncover the truth behind his words, the truth of my mother. Our La Habrea was quick to dismiss his claims. Failed to see what Festus would gain by fabricating such a story. All I was told of my mother's death was that she perished in an accident. No one would say more. It was almost as if they feared saying more, in fact. Even if it were not La Habrea that dealt the fatal blow, we've seen with our own eyes how quickly we can condemn others to die. I only wish to know, at last, what befell her. What do you think, Caslow? Does the La Habrea, have any regard for the lives of others? Or will he carry out his duty with another's blood on his hands? I have no idea what he might be like in this age. This age? Just how long has it been since you last met? Regardless, I'd like you to try and view him as he is now. Another opinion would be much appreciated. But it's plain that there is much to consider. Thank you, Kessler. It's easy for me to get carried away by emotion where he's concerned. We should focus on the task at hand, proving to La Habrea that we are capable of saving Pandæmonium and its keepers. The most convincing way to do that will be to regain control of Abyssos. Though I'm loath to admit it, he would know more about those depths than any of us. And seeing as how we require every advantage we can afford, Castle, would you speak to him for us? He seems to have a special interest in your capabilities. And he may deign to help your suggestion, if only to see what you can do. Ericthonius appears to have deep trust in you, and Olympus tells me you share some relation to Asa. Your unusual aether does not mark you as a familiar. It is unlike anything I have seen, even among the countless concepts I have observed. To think I would encounter an existence I could not create by my own hand. Zem never ceases to surprise. That's the sassiest hip hold ever. Previous Zem was much the same. Taking the entirety of the star into consideration, she came to hold dear emotions, and people that a more logical mind would have discarded. This made her act in her own self-interest more often than not. Just as you and Elidibus have conducted yourselves in this matter, the true danger of Zem's nature is its tendency to infect those who he comes into contact with. Mitzalk said much the same. Trust shall do naught that would violate my duty. And yet you so frivolously invoked your authority as emissary to justify this little excursion. It matters little, however. Only your deeds can speak for you now. You wish to know more of Abyssos, I take it? Although I no longer have control over many of its functions, I can yet sense what creations lie within. The chief keywords reach as far indeed. Well then, what do we have to look forward to? I sense no creations of note. Perhaps they have been made into fodder for experimentation. Perhaps they have been transferred to the deeper circles. Yet Hephaestus would never allow you safe passage. He has left a trial for you to overcome. I speak of Hegemony, keyword of Abyssos. Although her presence is stained with marks of corruption, is unmistakable. I knew her as a woman gifted in magic and blessed with a highly logical mind. While I can sense those qualities within her still, there's something else at work. Shit. Now that makes a whole bunch of sense. She was a Greek goddess of plants, making them bloom and bear fruit. Okay. I had to hazard to guess. I would say that's because she has been twisted into a Hemitheos, doubtless against her will. Kesla, Themis, we must rescue her from that cruel fate. If we cannot, we can at least seal her away until we find a means to undo the damage. Your allies make you bold, Arachthonians. Very much look forward to seeing how far they carry. God, the family drama here. Okay. Surprised we didn't get a cutscene with Imagine or Imagine? Sorry, I cannot say that word. But let's see what Arachthonius has to say. We've won. Keyword is sealed away and alive this time. Valhabere can't deny us now. Plan was a success, although I hardly need to tell you that. But Gemini has been sealed away. Now you have no choice but to admit the merit in our methods. You have the right of it. I'm not so petty as to deny achievements of those I've squabbled with, no matter how strongly we disagree. Moreover, this being, aether as thin as a retreating mist, unable to wield creation magics, yet powerful enough to subdue a Hemitheos, has made this ordeal far more interesting. Then we have leave to continue. As for that, there is one among you whose very presence puts the others at risk. It would be best to proceed without it. Your failure would have consequences that reach far beyond Pandæmonium. And of whom do you speak? A warder who cannot even conduct his duty without aid. In this place, hope alone is not enough to overcome what awaits you. A single misstep will send all to their doom. So long as we each do our part and look to the allies by our side, even a neophyte can upraise his companions. That's something that Kaslo and Themis taught. While I do not wish to express any bias, I am inclined to agree. My investigation has made anything clear. It is that we are together greater than the sum of our parts. And hope has brought us this far. It drives us to seek the right path, and to act before the path closes to us. Then tell me, what is it you hope for? To see Hephaestus in chains. That is the surest way to prevent any further sacrifice. I'm aware that destroying Pandæmonium would rid him, but the cost is far too great. And I admit, I wish to know how he means to resurrect Athena. And there we have it. You must leave this place at once. Do not think to set foot in Pandæmonium again. You are capable. That much is plain. Yet Hephaestus cannot be suffered to live. And I shall not allow his talk of resurrection to poison mine or anyone else's mind. Life flows in a cycle, this is known. All souls return to the underworld, and Athena's is no exception. She has likely found a new vessel, and a new journey to embark upon. Cannot be ignorant to the folly of Hephaestus' words. Even were he to breathe life into a body, the soul contained within would not be your mother's. What if our knowledge is imperfect? What if Hephaestus has discovered something that no one else has? He knows all that you do, understands the bitter reality of the world. He wouldn't pursue the impossible. Think, Erichthonius. I've already explained that he is merely my twisted reflection. Is it worth bringing back your mother if it means others are used and discarded like tools? Is it worth it to see her once more? Now, you measure the worth of your colleagues' lives? What was that foolish braying about saving them? Merely a performance tied to your childish devotion to your mother? Please, such barbs will get us nowhere. We should first discuss. You would call me a fool. You, who murdered your wife in service of your ambition. For the sake of the star, no doubt. I can hear it again. That voice inside my head. I know who to follow. Hephaestus. Father. Mother. Oh, I love you so. This voice will guide me to you. No, listen not. Listen not, Erichthonius. Apologies. You taught me that a calm heart stays the course. I could never even grasp the rudder.